Okay, take two. I did this video earlier today and it is not working out. I tried to edit it. So I'm just going to record it again. Maybe that's a good thing because I think it was kind of rambling and I did a lot of editing going on. So this video, briefly, is a response video to, in short, everything that is going on in the Gambia right now with African American women. And, but, you know, I'm going to do a separate video on that. But this particular video, I'm noticing a theme going on that I just don't think anybody is really going to address or bring up. Um, and I've noticed it on a couple of folks, responses, to everything. Some really popular YouTubers. And I know with the situation going over there, it's tragic and overwhelming. Um, it's shocking, to be honest. But one of the things that I don't want to happen in the process of trying to put things together and figure things out is this idea of kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Let me explain what I mean. Specifically in terms of the spiritual component that is being alluded to. One of the sisters, obviously, in her channel, a lot of her videos, she went way into it and sharing her experiences and things like that. And it can be daunting for the average person, and I totally get that. But I don't think the correct and responsible, mature response is to say all of it, African spiritual systems are, should be demonized. We have no place in doing or knowing any connection with that, anything at all. And I just find it to be so short-sighted and dismissive for all of the rich traditions that we have going on in America, regardless of, um, what's going on, in West Africa. The Americas, black people in the diaspora have rich histories with their spiritual traditions and spiritual practices. So I just think it's short-sighted and, you know, you know, um, scandalous to suggest that all African Americans work connection to understanding of African traditional religious systems should be thrown in the trash because you have a couple of situations in which people were not really culturally aware and situationally aware. Um, and that's unfortunate. One of my responses that, I have that, you know, initially in just the story and hearing everything that has happened, um, a lot of these elders, these, esteemed elders and women that were there, from my understanding, everyone had this strong framework of, I'm prayed up. I'm prayerful about the situation. I feel in control and on top of, my situation and, what's going to happen, to me, you know, and while that's correct and accurate and good, um, being someone who is a student of African traditional spiritual systems and religions, especially when you are there, you know, it cannot be underestimated that it's still important to have spiritual protection and to still have an understanding of what that is, um, fully. you know, um, it's just an unfortunate situation that there's so much learning that probably needs to happen within like 30 days. And that's, everyone needs a crash course, basically. Um, but I'll just say this. Oftentimes, when you have a force that is coming at you because of whatever reason, spiritual protection is about anchoring yourself um, with forces of nature in of the spiritual realm that are equal or greater force, so that you remain protected, so that the situation and yourself are neutralized. And you cannot underestimate that. And what I mean by that is, if, think about generals, if they have missiles being launched at them, no amount of just closing your eyes and just pretending the missile is not coming will make the missile not come. It's still incoming. What you have to do is prepare yourself down here in the physical 3D realm for what's incoming. Not to pretend that it doesn't exist. And I think that that's, unfortunate. It's an opportunity to really grow and learn in who you are spiritually and as a person. And that, is often lost. Oftentimes, African Americans are not anywhere near interested in a lot of the spiritual um, practices and understandings of things. A lot of folks are married to a Judeo-Christian understanding of spirituality, and that's perfectly fine. My only concern, is throwing the baby out with the bathwater, demonizing African spiritual practices in the diaspora, and of course in Africa, because of a few bad actors and people that have wrong intentions based off of really downtrodden perspectives on who they are and of life. A shrine, a ritual, your rituals are only as effective as you make them, first of all, and your results will always be dependent on the intention that you have going into things. One of my prayers, primary only prayers, when working with, your ancestral connections, in the gods of nature that exist, is protection, protection, protection. Never underestimate how much your ancestors care about your protection, just like your family does. And so if that is what's at the forefront, that covers a multitude of concerns, first of all. But second of all, in that, reality, along with working with spiritual chiefs and priestesses and those that are in the traditions, that can align you spiritually, with the protection that you need while you're there and in life, period. There are a lot of trickster energies and spirits that exist all around us, but especially in, West Africa. And it's oftentimes very, very, very important to come in with an understanding of how of the spiritual reality of, for a lack of words. So that was the main point, and I'm glad this is short because I really want to be very concise with this message. I think it's unfortunate that the baby is being thrown out with the bathwater. I think the situation is going to result possibly in a lot of people that were warming up to understanding, might now close themselves off. And, all things happen in life for a reason. But it really shows, I guess, those who really have a heart and a humility to understand the spiritual world and ancestral connections. And those that don't or do for the wrong reasons are the main ones that are throwing the baby out with the bathwater, possibly. You know, I won't go into much detail. There was one particular blogger, very, very popular. Everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with her if you're kind of in the diaspora kind of, communities, on YouTube, but, I am. Her name was ES, formerly ES of Eat, Love, Migrate. Now she has a channel called DIY Farm and another channel called Higher Minds Network. And so I recently checked out some of her videos based off of everything going on, in the Gambia. She did a really great video on those sisters, and just sharing her experiences and, concerns with everything. She's currently in northern Ghana. Um, and so it was really good to hear her perspective. It was also, however, unfortunate to hear a lot of the evolution that kind of has happened with her in her spiritual walk and her spiritual journey. Um, she underwent. I'm kind of gonna go to the background. I'm gonna condense this, do a better job than I did in the first take. So, in short, uh, ES has done some initiatory rituals and rites with the spiritual systems that come from northern Ghana. Initially, this practice was introduced to a lot of African Americans here in America, specifically in Georgia, from Chief Amachi when he was alive. And I too underwent some of the initiatory rites and rituals with him and became very familiar also with the spiritual systems of northern Ghana, based off of some decisions that I made along the way. And that I had the opportunity as well to go to northern Ghana and verify, learn more about the spiritual tradition and the spiritual system. And I would say overall, in terms of thinking it a bad thing or an evil thing or something that doesn't work and should just be thrown away, it's unfortunate because depending on, again, saying it again, depending on the intention that you have in coming to any tradition or or spiritual system or framework, um, depending on your intention will always determine your results. I can't speak to necessarily what she was praying for or what she was hoping her manifestations to be ultimately, um, but I can speak for myself. And she went on to say that protection is something that the shrines cannot offer, and I just want to be a testimony that that's just not true. Um, though that the shrine and those rituals that you are given and you go through as an initiate are protective, and they do protect you. Um, you would have to say that none of the dream synchronicities are real. You would have to say that none of the spiritual correspondences that come through are real. And if you are particularly an initiate or someone in your spiritual path and walk where you do a lot of research and reading, as I have, um, it's given me the opportunity to have an even fuller understanding of the spiritual system and the origins and the rich history, that rich ancient history that's going on there. So, with all that, with the fact that I am a testimony to the fact that it's protective, it kept me safe in my dealings um, with people that may have intended me harm. It's given me foresight, forewarning, gives me spiritual insight and understanding, especially in situations in which I'm unclear or there is darkness. It gives me spiritual frame to know the energy around me. You know, and so I don't know what her experience was. You see, um, but for me, for and I can't speak for any of the other initiates that I went through that process with. You're kind of dispersed all over, but you know, I'll say this: nobody had intentions that you know were anything other than honestly protection. You know, um, and so I think that these things make a difference. Now, of course, there's a lot of back history and backstory to, um, you know, those spiritual systems. There's a lot that I can't say. I believe that's why the first video shut down. Um, but honestly, but I just wanted to make sure that I came on to say something primarily about that. There's no advocacy. There's not going to be any advocacy. There's not going to be any voice for you know the spiritual systems as a result of all of this, and so all of it will be demonized. And while I understand that initial reaction, um, when things seem overwhelming, or you don't get what you want, or you're not sure to just throw things out and burn things, and that's literally baby out with the bathwater. Everyone has the right to do what they want to do, to each their own. But I would just offer, if one really was honest, if you get real honest about your headspace, and your intentions behind why you do things, that will have a huge impact on the results that you have. Um, and it's a what can I say? It depends on the person, you know, ultimately. So, um, that's pretty much the main things that I wanted to say. Um, yeah, I'll leave it there. Okay. Maybe I'll come back and do another video, a little bit more in depth about, kind of my concerns with just kind of throwing things out along the way because of a change in your circumstance. And there's some, I have some thoughts on, additional thoughts, on, you know, voodoo traditions. Let's just kind of leave it there. Okay, so thank you so much for your time and your attention. I probably will come back with a second video to kind of clarify where I'm going with this. So thanks so much for your time and attention. Have a great day.